The Sleep Number Smart Bed is the best bed for couples, and there's a good reason for that. Only Sleep Number Smart Beds let you choose your ideal comfort and support on your side of the bed. Firmer or softer on either side. Sleep Number does that. Perhaps you want your side cooler, and your partner wants their side warmer. Sleep Number does that too. You choose what's right for you, making it the best bed for the both of you. The Sleep Number Smart Bed will even automatically respond and adjust to your movements to help you sleep comfortably all night long. Your smart bed will even learn how you sleep and provide you personalized insights to help you sleep even better. Why choose a Sleep Number Smart Bed? So you can choose your ideal comfort on either side. And now, save 40% on the new Special Edition Smart Bed. Ends Monday. Shop a Sleep Number store near you. See store or sleepnumber.com for details.
Bombas makes the most comfortable socks, underwear, and T-shirts.
Warning, Bombas are so absurdly comfortable you may throw out all your other clothes.
Sorry, do we legally have to say that?
No, this is just how I talk, and I really love my Bombas.
They do feel that good. And they do good, too. One item purchased equals one item donated.
To feel good and do good, go to bombas.com/Wondery and use code WONDERY for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/Wondery and use code WONDERY at checkout.
Edit audio.
Hello, everyone. I'm Robin Hopkins, and this is Well Adjusting, where I talk to people about life stuff, but not in an NPR way. It's more like we're at the bar, having cocktails, getting into your business sort of way.
It's giving drunk NPR.
Oh, and producer Steph is here too.
Hello.
Today we chat, well, when you're not really saving for your future. Hey, friends. Woo! It is an exciting episode because we are talking, wait for it, drum roll, finances. Woo! It's almost sad how excited I get to talk about money. Now, we're going to look into that in another episode because today, Sylvie is joining us. Now, the good news is this. She's not in debt, and we absolutely love this. But before we give her a gold medal, she's not really saving for retirement or her future in any way. So, Sylvie, I am afraid I'm going to have to deduct points for this. Womp womp. But that's okay, folks, okay? Because we're going to get into this with Sylvie. The whys and the hows. I mean, how she got where she is. And we're going to talk about how to start saving, how to start organizing, how to start handling your finances when it all feels daunting and like more rules than you maybe want to follow. So fear not, because Mama's going to make this fun. And yes, that was weird, and I am sorry about it. Come on, y'all, it's money. We love it.
My name is Sylvie Lubau, or Lubo. Pronunciation differs in my family. And I am a freelance creative, mostly make podcasts. Sometimes I do scripting, like for videos. Lots of different things.
You came to us with a financial question, and I believe it was something along the lines of like, help me. But I want you to say what the question was in more detail and better than what I said.
I think it was investing dash make it make sense, because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any freaking sense, and it feels like it's designed to not make sense, and it feels very big and scary and impenetrable. And I think if I understood like maybe a little bit more about the language or the intention, I mean, I get the intention, you want to save money, but like, where does a beginner start? Because I am too old at this point to not have a retirement savings account.
Yeah, it's not cute at some point. It's not cute.
It's not cute.
Okay, you just said just a little and then so much because I am such a believer that finances are mental. There's a learning curve, but it's the smallest part because quite honestly, it is just little things you do. But I think most of it is fear around the area, like historical context about how you were raised in terms of money, your philosophy about money. Yeah, Does money mean like, fuck it, I deserve this? Like money can mean so many different things. So like what's going to happen in this episode, and I'm just preparing you, Sylvie, is that we're going to talk about the what you should do, like to get you set up. But I think it's really important to start with talking about the why you do what you do. So,
oh my God, you're gonna Freud me. You're gonna Freud me about money.
I'm gonna Freud the fuck out of you, Sylvie. But yes, let's go. So, it was the best day for me to have a Celsius before this. Okay, sponsor us, Celsius. Okay, so let's talk how you approach finances. Like, are you in debt? Was your family in debt? How do you think about money? If you know.
So the first thing that came to my mind is student debt, student loans. And I remember this whole thing with Sally Mae around consolidation.
Sally Mae.
Sally fucking Mae.
I already know where you're going, by the way, and I fell for this too. Keep going.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I think I didn't fall for it, but then I fell for it. So I don't even know what happened. I can't remember. Was the advice to consolidate and I didn't? I think that was it. I didn't consolidate so that my interest rate went high.
Okay.
Quite high.
Like it was scaling.
It was scaling. And I remember, having phone calls with them, trying to understand what the heck was happening. Also, a complication in the matter was that my great aunt and great uncle had signed on as guarantors for some of my student loans. So they would also be incessantly harassed at like 89. And I was like, leave them out of this. Beatrice and Daniel don't need to hear from you. And then, of course, my mom.
They don't even know why you're calling. Leave them alone.
We don't know Sally Mae. She doesn't sound like a Jew. And I'm like, you're right. So that was always like created a sense of anxiety around money. I did pay it off in full. So that was like my debt, but
congratulations.
Paid off. But yes, that feeling of like anxiety and hitting a monthly payment and what happens if you don't, and my family being harassed. And so there's that. What else comes to my mind when I think about money?
Are you in debt right now? Do you have credit card debt?
Nope.
You live without debt. Okay, great. So is that something that you always did, or is that new?
So I came to credit cards late in my life, which was, is it good? Okay, I'll take good. I was just like,
it's good in the sense that you didn't rack up debt.
I didn't, but I was also like, what is a credit card? Like a real ding dong. But eventually I got myself two. One, because I was like, let me see about the hotel points on this card. And the other was just like a regular, like travel points. Got rid of one, only have one, no debt.
Okay. So you use it monthly and you pay it off.
Yes.
Oh, this is already my second kudos. Woo! All right.
Killing it.
Then I want to ask you this question because you're already starting in a place that's fucking fantastic.
Oh.
So I want to ask you this question. How is money talked about in your childhood? Was it talked about? Is you being debt-free a reaction to your parents? Was there planning around money? How was money never spoken about? Give me that. Give me that.
Give me that. Give me all that. Okay, so I don't remember ever like talking about it explicitly, like being taught like, this is how you make a budget, or this is how we think about savings. But I definitely remember, my mom had a full-time job. She was an after-school director and a summer camp director, pretty much the mayor of Park Slope. And so she had a full-time job, and like it was stable, paycheck every, however often they pay you. Now I'm a freelancer and I forget, how often do you get paychecks?
Sometimes is the answer.
Sometimes. My dad was a freelance wallpaper hanger. And so there would be periods.
Shut up. I love that.
But yeah, so there were definitely periods that were slower where he didn't have work. And I can remember my mom in particular feeling anxious about that. So there was like an undercurrent of anxiety. Not like all the time, and not in such a way that like, at least for me, I don't know if you talk to my sister, she'd feel differently. Not in such a way where we felt like we had to like limit what we wanted to do. Does that make sense? Like we were never like, oh,
you never felt scared.
Yeah, not like that.
Okay. There's just an awareness.
Yeah, I think that's how I describe it in a very blabbering kind of way.
No, you're doing great. But so, okay. So I want to like ask a couple of, does this feel right? Right. So we can, because I do want to move us to talk about investing. Because like the first thing I'm hearing is like, you're living within your means. You are, you're handling things ish, right? But you're figuring it out because you're not carrying debt.
Right.
You paid off big debts like student loans. So you have the capability to put your mindset to something and to complete it, not to like, because there's people that'll default. There's people that are just like, fuck it, I paid $1 and then they have that forever. So you're in a really good position. Okay. And you had an awareness. It doesn't feel like there was like fear instilled in you, like you weren't crying, watching your mom cry in a car over money. Right. So these are all really great building blocks. But it sounds like, is it like this? I have this psychic and she'll be like, does that feel right? Which means you're fishing, by the way, but whatever. She's a good psychic. But does it feel right to say there's just like a lack of knowledge in this area? And maybe it's just not something that you like. I think anyone who listens to this podcast can tell, like, I get really super jazzed about the financial episodes. Like, I love it. I love the thinking about it. I love the planning. I love the growth when you do something that's like, I love looking back, but it's like, it just might not be your jam. Like, that's just not a world where you're like, I love it.
It has not been my jam.
Okay.
And I don't know why that is. Like, why didn't I learn that in school, how to balance a budget? Didn't learn it.
Nobody does.
Wasn't a subject. You'd think some of this common sense stuff that every adult has to do, they would introduce that into education. That would be super fucking cool. But they didn't. And then I guess the other way people learn is probably through their parents. Like if they have a very financially minded parent, then maybe that's some way they learn. But I didn't, I didn't learn. So
I don't think you're alone, by the way. I really, like my daughter and I, she's 15, about to be 16. And we just started really talking about money in a way like I have always been talking about it. But I was like, ooh, I've got this financial doc. I was like, I'm going to copy it, make one for you. And we're going to do a very small version because you don't have investments. You don't have this. And you're going to start to see this and you're going to build it out. Not many people do that. That's the thing I'm learning the more we talk about it. And there's all these people that have all these like emotional things attached to money. So it makes sense that it's not talked about. So I think it's okay to say, I don't love it. You just need to learn enough to be able to, like, in the way that you had to learn to be a freelancer and to like make your money work. Like, I assume the first few times you were like, how do I even, like, you must have developed little systems to save some money so you can pay your rent, so you can, it's just, we just have to get you to understand that's all we're doing is for you, we're just going to teach you some systems. Does that sound scary or fine?
I love systems, so.
My question just before we get into systems is like, hearing us talk about investing and maybe like credit cards and stuff, like, how does that feel in your body? Like, does it feel scary? Does it feel exciting? Like, what are you feeling right now? What did you feel before coming into this conversation?
I think it's a mix of fear and excitement. They kind of feel like the same thing sometimes, when you're like going up
they really do.
Up a roller coaster and you're like, my stomach is going to fall out of my butt and I love it. It's like that. So I think it's a little, the fear is like, what if I fail? I think that's like the big fear question. What if I fail and lose all my money? What if I make the wrong investment choices? And the excitement is like, what if I fucking win? What if I nail all the systems and I'm able to start saving money to buy a home or, start my retirement savings? So it's both.
I love that fail is lose all your money and win is maybe have some savings. Like, those are not at the same like barometer of high and low.
They're
and
surreal.
And also like failing, it's like people have this idea that like investing means you're all of a sudden like a day trader on E-Trade and you're like, buy high. It's like, it's not that at all.
I'm doing Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah.
No, you're not doing coke and driving around and hitting trees.
Darn.
Like, you're like, there's so many like target-based age based funds that are mutual funds that are really fairly safe, in that, and again, anyone.
What
I'm
is
not
a mutual
financial
fund? Like, I have no, what
we
is
have
that?
so much work. So
I
we have so
know.
much work. Like a mutual fund is like almost like, think of like a package of okay, let me say it like this. There's a dude, likely a dude, likely
There's
a
a
white
guy.
dude,
Mhm.
or several people overseeing a fund, a grab bag of different stocks, bonds, whatever, and they are at varying levels of risk. So a package that includes really heavily in the stock market, high risk, potential for high reward. A mutual fund that is got a lot of bonds, like government-backed type things, or like that are not like less in the market, is going to be a lot more stable, and you're probably going to have less likelihood of a reward. And you tend to, it's like a sliding scale of that crosses of age. When you're young, you can be more risky. When you are closer to retirement, you generally want your risk factors to start to go down.
That makes sense.
So, right, because at that point you want to just get your shit out. But when you're younger, you want to take advantage of the highs. I think something that someone told me once that I think has been so profound is, don't be thinking about it, well, the market is bad, so I'm not going to be doing anything. The market is good, so I'm not. No, investing in pieces consistently over time so that when the market is low, you're buying more. When the market is high, you're getting higher returns. It's just, most of what we're going to talk about right now is a philosophy. Mm-hmm. And it actually has nothing to do with whether you choose a mutual fund, Sylvie, whether you choose to become a day trader, I'm going to advise you to get a person. But before you get a person, you have to do a couple of things.
Okay. I want that person. I need that person.
Yes. And by the way, there's so many people who they have this reaction of like, who's going to take me? I have no money. Right. Some of them are not going to. Like, I have a guy, and my guy, when I first started with him, he'd take $1 from me. And now he's, as I've grown in age and my portfolio has grown, he has grown in his work experience and his clientele. So now, unless it's somebody like people like us are referring to him, he doesn't really take people. He wants a minimum $50,000 investment. For me, he'll take whatever if I give him $4, but we're already set up with him. But there are people who are starting in their career who they're going to take some young people, and the gamble is that they want to be with them over their life. Like, I'm not leaving my guy because, like, I trust him. He's done well for us, and there's a trust that's built up over time. So the number one thing is to find a person, whether you have $1 or $100,000 to invest.
This is like your therapist.
Yeah, you get your person, and they're with you.
Okay.
Ride or die.
Ride or die.
Okay, and I think that word of mouth is a really great way. But it's just my first person. I just called Merrill Lynch. And was like, and they have like new people who have no clients, and they're going to take you. They're going to be like, okay, well, what do you have?
Many Americans find themselves at an unprecedented moment. We feel isolated. Our world is marked by divisions, and we're not sure how to engage neighbors across differences.
We know our communities thrive when they are places of belonging for all. It's time to rebuild the we, a bigger sense of we than what we see around us today.
That's why we created Reimagining Us. I'm Nicole Argo, the founder and executive director at the Together Up Institute.
And I'm Scott Hutchison, the executive director of E Pluribus Unum. On Reimagining Us, we'll be talking to behavioral scientists, change makers, and educators to understand why we're divided, to hear true stories of people bridging divides and finding common ground.
Reimagining Us is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. Learn more at nextchapterpodcast.com/reimaginingus and togetherup.org/reimaginingus.
Okay, so then what I want to talk to you about is, how do you approach your monthly finances? Okay, do you, like, you're freelance, so do you set aside money for your taxes? Do you, how do you, like, I'm not asking you to have a, okay,
No,
so
I
how do
don't.
you do it?
So, like, much to my accountant's, I have that person, much to my accountant's dismay, I do not set aside, I don't pay quarterly taxes. I pay.
Oh, Sylvie.
I know.
Okay, it's all right.
So maybe starting there, I pay annually, and so there's a small penalty fee that I pay,
Yeah,
but it's like
it's not
negligible.
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or negligible. Like, to me, it's negligible.
But do you save when you get a check? Sylvie Enterprises just got paid for doing a gig $10,000. Do you put 25% aside?
I don't put, I don't think about it that, like, I don't think about it in terms of percentages, but I'll put a chunk. A chunk goes into savings, but it's not
so
a percentage.
The first thing I want you to do is to start to think percentages.
And just to be clear, when you say you put a chunk in savings, that means like you open your bank, you have one bank, you have a checking account and a savings account.
That's correct.
And then you just throw some money in there.
Yeah. Usually if it is a big paycheck, I'm considering 10K a big paycheck, half will go into my savings.
Interesting.
If it's small, if it's just like $1,200, then
you're keeping it all.
I'm keeping it. Yeah.
Okay. So I first of all want to just, if you took 25% out of both of them, you actually would have more. So I want to start with some kind of the way that we have this document on well adjusting called the Great You document. And it's a document about like a map for your life. I'm going to take my financial notes. This is my commitment to our audience. I'm going to take my financial notes doc and I'm going to dupe it. And we're going to put it in the show notes and we're going to give a version of it so that you can take it and make your own. Okay. Because I want you to start to think about, let's just say you have these two accounts, right? You got your checking account and your savings account. The document, you can have a table for your savings account. And let's say you've got $10,000 in your savings account. When you put 25% in for taxes, I want you to go in there and have a line item that says taxes, $2,500. And then whatever these line items totals, how much is in your savings account. So every penny that's in your savings account is earmarked for something. I want you to be thinking about a portion of your savings earmarked for you don't have work that month. I want a portion to be set aside for savings. I'm also going to encourage you get that $10,000 check. I want you to save. You'll find your number. I do 25% because it makes me feel nice. And then I do 6% towards my retirement. Okay. So every check that comes in, 31% I'm setting aside into my savings account. And then I go into my document and I update the number.
Got it.
So if I've got $20,000 in my savings, 10,000 is earmarked for the day I lose my job. 2,500 is for taxes. This much is toward a solo 401k or a IRA or, a Roth IRA or a whatever. So, and then maybe there's a portion in there that I'm saving for a vacation. So I want you to think about, instead of it being this
like blob of money.
Yeah. I want you to be specific about it. So you know.
Yeah.
Because without knowing, you're just making shit up.
I literally am.
And you're doing a good job. But imagine if you knew how much you actually could spend on things.
I can't imagine it. Like my mind has gone blank.
Right. Does that feel overwhelming? Because it is a little bit of bookkeeping.
A bit. But I do love a spreadsheet. So that part feels
who
good.
Doesn't?
That part feels really good.
Love a spreadsheet.
Yeah, it's like, I guess when you like really dive into anything new for the first time, right? It's like,
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
the sound.
It's a way
I just
of
have
thinking.
a sound.
But that's good. That tells me everything.
Yeah.
It's a way of thinking about and being intentional about and being able to say, can I afford this? Well, yes, I can. No, I can't. Or I want to save toward that. So like I will have line items with targets. So like we were trying to save for a spring break trip. And so I had it highlighted and I had the amount, I had the target number I wanted to save towards. And then when extra money came in, so every check that comes in, and this is the part that is going to be overwhelming. Okay. The first section that is the top part of this document is I'm not a budget maniac. I'm not like, you need, Steph just made a face. You need to account for every single thing. But I am like, you should have a general sense of what you spend. So for me, the way mine looks is I have payments that are due on the 1st and payments that are due on the 15th. So I know how much my mortgage is. I know how much my Con Ed bill generally is. I know, which is gas and electricity for those of you elsewhere. I know how much my mobile phones are, and I know when they hit. I know my maintenance, which is my real estate taxes. That all comes the 1st. On the 15th, I spread it out so that my main credit card, because I do exactly what you do. I have one credit card, and we pay it off each month. And it's tied to rewards, which I like, so that we get some free flights and things. And so I have a target of how much I want that to be spending each month. And so I can tell if our bill comes back more than $5,000 in a month that we went hog wild on Amazon, and then I start sending out the family emails like, everybody slow your roll. Like and knowing if my target is 5,000 and the billing cycle is the 1st through the 30th, if on the 15th I'm at 4,000, guess what? I'm going to be over budget this month. Slow down the back half of the month. They're just little milestones. Mm-hmm. So the first assignment for you, once I give you the stock, is going to be to place your dues and to try to consolidate them. I want them to be no more than twice a month. I don't want you paying something on the 7th and something on the 15th. See if you can get them all the 1st and the 15th, or whatever works for you. Okay.
Yep.
And then you're going to have a sense of how much you need every 2 weeks.
Yep.
So go ahead, Steph. Steph's got a follow-up question.
Are you okay?
No, I'm going to cry.
Okay, tell me why. Tell me
were
why.
silent.
I just saw a little bit of your face like deaden. So I'm just going to take a moment to check in.
Thank you, Steph.
It's like, it sounds like a lot. And there is something lovely about being able to just go on Amazon, and I wish I didn't, because that's not lovely in and of itself. What's lovely is being able to just like buy things and not really think about it. It's lovely on its surface. Once you get into it, less lovely. But like, oh, there's like a pot that I really wanted, or a pot. Like, what the? I don't know. I'm trying to think.
You
of
want
things.
that pot?
Yeah, I wanted a pot, like a Dutch oven pot, not just any old pot.
Yeah.
And not having to be like, oh, but none of that. None of the stuttering around, should I purchase this? Should I not? Like, I already have so many decisions I have to make in life. I don't want this to get into like the decision bin.
Well, this is why I'm so glad that, first of all, I'm always glad that producer Steph is here, but this is why I'm even more glad, because I will get so revved up and into the systems that I sometimes am like, she's glossing over, it's fine, keep going. And so, but in Steph's question and in your answer, what I heard was that in my head, I was like, oh, right, because you're obviously smart. You're obviously making it work. There's a reason that you haven't done these things. And like you're touching on what it, because honestly, when you see the document, when I send it to you, I know what I'm saying feels overwhelming. It's really not. It's just, you're already kind of doing it. It's just putting a little framework around it. And I promise you this, but I'm going to come back to what I was saying. I promise you will actually feel more freedom. Because you will know.
Yeah, that sounds great. That part.
The low-grade anxiety, like, tell me about the low-grade anxiety from wondering if you're going to be able to retire, from wondering if you are going to be able to buy a house. Do you think that is less than having to think about the Dutch oven?
No.
Right. So
like,
you need to
got it.
God, so you need to remind yourself of that in the moments. I think there's a little cycle that would be really great while you're getting this learning curve. A little cycle to build in that is, I'm feeling an aversion to doing this. I'm feeling away, and you'll know what that is, whether it's like, fuck this, why should I have to? I make enough money, I work really hard, I want the fucking Dutch oven. Whatever your narrative is, when it comes up, for you to stop, breathe, take a second, put your hand in your heart, do whatever you do that calms you down, and remind yourself, oh, that's another conversation that's actually a story and it's not true. Because I do feel anxious if I think about this. I do feel like, and then proceed. Because Because I'm not saying you can't have the Dutch oven.
Right.
I'm merely saying, shouldn't we know if this month, when I send that email that's like slow your roll, like on the first, Mary goes, are we open again? And I'm like, yes, we are open for business. Let's just not be as frivolous as we were last month. Okay. Thank you very much. It just means I'm not buying it in this billing cycle, but maybe I'm buying it 2 billing cycles where I put that money aside.
Yeah.
And you're, how old? Can I ask how old you are?
Turning 40 this year.
Woo! You lived 40 years without a Dutch oven. 2 more months and not going to kill you.
It would have killed me. No, you're right.
I want the Dutch oven!
I want to make a stew.
The stuff that I'm talking about, it doesn't have to happen overnight. These are small things like that you can implement. And when I tell you that the document that I started with was nothing compared to what it is now, and I'm about to go on a ski trip with my son and my sister, not this weekend, but next weekend, it's already paid for. So I can go and I don't even have to think about it.
Yeah. Yep.
Not a thing.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
So I can just be present. So I want you to try to keep that in mind in this conversation.
I'm holding it.
When you say it's already paid for, do you mean, Robin, that you put it in like a separate account and you're like budgeting towards that, or you mean you already paid for it?
Both. I did the math of how much the trip would cost. Okay, the hotel room is this.
Mm-hmm.
Splitting that with my sister. Ski tickets are this. And then I was like, meals I can absorb into our monthly spending. So I'm just going to budget for that. I saved that money. I paid for the deposit, and then I bought the lift tickets this past 2 weeks ago. And when I bought the lift tickets, I took the money out of my savings and just paid it out of the credit card immediately. So that charge didn't even show up in my monthly.
Yeah.
And
so
then
I think that's like an interesting like brain switch, is like thinking about things that are like paid for as like, at least for me, when the anxiety load can no longer be in my brain. So
that's the thing. It frees you.
Yeah.
I don't have to think about this trip.
Yeah. But you like, even if you didn't pay for the lift tickets already, like give the actual ski resort the money or pay for the actual hotel.
It's in my savings account.
Having a bucket in your savings account or whatever account you put that towards, like where you're like, I put that money there. I know I have like $50 extra for getting fucked up one night or whatever the hell you like to do for fun. Like that's there. I don't have to think about that anymore, which like, I don't know, Sylvie, if you can relate to that at all. But like for me, it's like, I don't necessarily need to know what I'm paying for and when I paid for it, like on the 13th of the month or whatever. But knowing that I have X, Y, and Z coming up and I've put that money aside, I don't have to think about it then.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is super comforting and really appealing to be able to get to that place where you can say like, yeah, I want to go away with some of my lady friends for my 40th. I want to be able to just say, that's the budget. I have it. It's done.
Yeah. Yes.
And it doesn't matter when I'm there because it's already done. That would be great.
So there's two things I want you to wrap your head around, you in particular and anyone else who's struggling with this, right? One is pre-saving. Like the concept that there's a thing that's coming. And the reason that I have you track your things, like I know that every year we have life insurance that's due, right? And so when my taxes come back, I save $2,000 for our life insurance so that when they come due, I have that money and we pay for it, right? There's certain like yearly expenses that I just keep track of, like renter's insurance or homeowner's insurance. Like those are charges, like maybe if you have a website for your business, things like that. I just kind of keep those in my brain. I don't get all bunged up about it, but I know they're coming. They're there. But there are the hard numbers. So the first thing is pre-saving for things. But the other thing is the hard numbers, knowing your hard numbers each month, what your rent is or your mortgage, what your electricity bill, your Wi-Fi. I want you to know those, especially given your income is sporadic. That way you will always know. And Sylvie, let's go back to your $10,000 job, okay? You got a $10,000 payout, right? And you now have this document with your 40th girl trip and your monthlies, right? $10,000 comes in, you take out your monthlies, or you set aside 2 monthlies because you're like, I want to make sure I've got my mortgage covered for 2 months. I want to make sure all my hard costs are set aside. You take your tax money out. You take out 5% for a retirement. Okay, let's start, or 3%. You take out what you can take out. Then let's say there's $1,000 left over. Well, then Sylvie, here is your freedom, right? You got $1,000 and then you get to go over to your dumb doc and you look at your line items and you go, okay, the girls' trip isn't for 6 months and I only have to save $600 more. So I'm going to put $150 in there. I've got $850 left. I really want the Dutch oven.
Yep.
I'm going to buy that $200.
Buy two. Just kidding.
Yeah, no, sell the other one at a markup. No, but now I've got $650 left. What am I going to do with the $650? Then you know your life. Has my work been sporadic? Should I create a line item in my savings that is in case I don't have work? And I put $500 in there. And then $150, I'm taking my ass to the spa. Like,
yes.
Do you
Yes,
see how I
I
took
am.
that $10,000 and I just gave you all of your monthlies paid for 2 months? We saved for your taxes. We saved for your retirement. And then you did some nice things for yourself.
Yeah.
That to me feels like freedom. But I want to ask you, does it feel like I'm holding you in a straitjacket?
No, it doesn't feel like that. Yeah, it's like short term, long term.
Yeah.
Short term is the confining feeling.
Yes.
And long term is the freedom. And I think with many things in life, that same thing is true, right? That like short term, you're like, oh, fuck. And then long term, you're like, ah.
Yeah.
And that really is a mindset shift as well. Just that short term, long term thinking. And yeah, so that's something I've been thinking about in other, parts of my life. So I'm happy to incorporate it.
Tell me how it would show up in your life. If you shifted your mentality to this, how does it make you feel, or how would it show up if you were starting to think about the long term of saving for your retirement or saving for a house?
I mean, that would make me feel amazing. It would make me feel relieved to know that I'm actually doing something, right? As opposed to just like passively watching from the sidelines or angrily cursing the rich or... it would make me feel...
We can still do that, can't we?
Yeah. We definitely will forever. But so that feels really good. And then I can't even imagine. It's like when I'm remembering like when I was into running years ago. Years ago, my body can barely move now. And I set a goal. I was like training for a race, like my first ever race, a 5K. And they say, like you have a training schedule, you run a mile, you run half a mile, you run 2 miles, it's kind of like, and then there's race day and you do it. So in this analogy, there's the savings, which is like the training.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the day that you buy the home. And like, my God, I don't even know. I can't even fathom, but I know when I ran the race, I felt like fucking Superman or woman or super person.
Right. I would encourage you to maybe do, because I didn't want to touch too much on like the past because you're so stable, but however you reflect on things, whether it be journaling or meditation or just maybe just thinking about it or talking about it, I would encourage you to think about your relationship to money and keep asking yourself questions about why now? Why am I coming to this now? What didn't I get? Like, what are my fears? And just trying to identify that so you know what's around you while you do this.
Mm-hmm. That's super smart.
Do the doc. And then when the doc is done, I want you to get a person and I want you to be thinking like, you may not have any amount to give them immediately. What if you just said, I would like you to start a mutual fund for me and I can give you like $100 a month.
Yeah.
And it comes out every, on the 4th every month. And you just do that. And then when you get a raise, you go, I can bump that up to $150.
Can I ask
want you to, yes,
how do you
please.
feel about like some companies that are trending right now? So Ellevest is one. Have you heard of Ellevest?
Is it like Acorns? Is it like a small thing into the market, like small purchases into the market?
Yeah, and it's all women owned, all women led. Seems
oh my God,
like
I love them.
I know. Seems like a great option in terms of like find the guy or gal. But like, should I proceed with caution? Should I, like, what's my due diligence when I'm trying to find the guy or gal?
Okay, first of all, we use Acorns because I found them at one point and I love them. And what they do is small purchases into the stock market. And again, you can set like how risky you want to be, how whatever. And to me, that's just like a fun money account. And it's just something I do. And over the years, like, I don't know, I just turned around and I got like $8,000 in there just by putting almost nothing in there.
Yeah.
And I just recently I was like, why the hell my kids and I did a commercial and they got paid like $1,500 and it was sitting in a Bank of America savings account making $0 in infinity. And I just opened up kids accounts for them, like a UMA, UMC, UMG, whatever that account is. It's basically like a parent controlled account. When they're 21, they get full access to it. I put that money in there in March and I put in $25 a month, like, cause I feel like I'm a nice mom. And they've already made, like, each of their accounts have already made like $400.
Oh my
And by the time they're 21, if I never put another dollar in, my older kid will have $6,000 and my younger kid will have $8,000 by the time they're 21 without doing another thing from $1,400. So it's not so much what you do. Yes, do your due diligence. It's that you do something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like the reason I say get a person is because I would never sit here and be like, you should be in blue trade ship stocks. Like, no, I'm not. I should not be doing that. But a person should tell you, like, they'll sit with you and talk about your goals.
Yeah.
And they'll say, you want to buy a house? Let's put you in something that's a little more long-term. It's going to be a little harder to get out, but it's going to maybe have a higher return. And it's going to be, if you are just trying to invest for a year to do something, they'll have a different option for you. They can also give you retirement packages. You can roll over 401ks to people like that. And then, yes, and Elevate. Is that what the name of the company was? Elevate?
Elevest. But also, just from Googling quickly, I don't think it's the same as Acorn. It seems like it's more like, it's like robo wealth management.
Okay.
And from what I understand, the $12 per month plan is like courses you can take and like gaining financial literacy. But anything beyond that to get like a person costs extra.
Yes.
Right. And oftentimes a person, if you go through like a Schwab or Merrill Lynch or whatever, they're going to just take a percentage of your like 1% or whatever. But like, yes, do your due diligence. Like, I love NerdWallet. I love all those things. And they'll just tell you, like, I think that's how I got Acorns. Like, I'll hear of something and then I research it and I get on Reddit and do all that stuff. But I think there are a million ways to educate yourself. A person can just be a starting place or that. I don't know how I feel about the robo of it all, just because the AI of it all, because I feel like I want to be able to call, like, my guy's named Rich. I want to be like, Rich, I want to do this. And then he'll say shit to me that I can then make a decision. Like the thing you said about your taxes earlier, you were like, I don't pay quarterly. There's a slight fee. And my guy, Rich, will lose his mind over me taking a hit of $400 not paying quarterly. Because for him, he lives and breathes this shit. And for me, I look at it's going to take me a bit to fill these out and print them and mail them. It's $400. I don't really care in the scheme of things.
Right.
Those are decisions you can make when you talk to Rich.
Got it.
Or you're Rich.
It's nice to be able to call someone who like
I love a phone
a
friend.
Yes, I do
love
too.
A phone a
and
friend.
Knowing yourself in this process is really important. Knowing what you need. And the reason I say that something like an Acorns or whatever to start is, if you were to do, and again, like, we're not sponsored by Acorns. I'm not telling everyone to go to Acorns. Like, do your due diligence, but let's just use Acorns as an example, and Acorns, please sponsor us. If you were to start an account with them and you were just to link up your checking account and do, if you spent $10.47, they'll take 53 cents and invest it in the market. Mm-hmm. Every time you slide your card, they'll round up the change. Even if you just turn that on while you're figuring your shit out, I guarantee you 6 months from now, you'll have $1,000 or $500 and you'll be like, that didn't even impact my life.
Yeah.
And then once you start thinking that way, like, I went and I was like, I give Acorns $50 a month now. Cause I'm like, $50 is 2 margaritas in New York City.
Yeah.
I can't as soon as I bring up the
2
margarita
good
correlation,
ones.
I'm like,
they better be good.
They should be. But like, once I start to think like that, I'm like, I can make myself that uncomfortable. It's very not uncomfortable. That's why you got to start with the doc and start with just a little bit of education, because there are a lot of non-painful ways. Like I said, I am a fan of the monthly contribution in some way, because you're taking advantage of the market high and low. You're making money when it's high. You're buying more when it's low. Like,
I think also when you have like the person, like I have the same experiences. Like, I don't want to make more decisions or have to do more homework. Like, I look at 9,000 budgets and 9,000 spreadsheets every fucking week. And like me printing something, like I am not going to a printer to print a document. Like, it's just like a pain in the ass. Sometimes you have to, but whatever. But sometimes the person you find will do the things for you.
They do.
Which is a dream.
They want
because
your
they
money.
want to keep you and they want your money.
Yeah. They want to treat you right.
I never pay the IRS. Someone does it for me, and it's incredible.
And my guy would rebalance my 401k quarterly. He didn't even have that money, but he would do it for me as a service for me. And he looks at our accounts and he'll send me emails every once in a while and be like, I was looking at your account. I want to sell this. And I'm always like, do you, boo? Like, because I trust you. Like, you've made us money over the course of 20 years. Keep going. I trust you. I can't be an expert on everything, but I can hire experts.
What is the title of Rich? What is Rich's title?
He is he's a financial and investment
advisor.
Dude.
He's an FID.
He's a FID.
Yeah. Also, our producer Maria made a joke saying, "LOL, that your financial dude is named Rich."
I know. So I know we've thrown a lot at you. Yeah. I feel like you have a place to start, but I want to and I'm just going to say it one more time, and then I want to ask how you feel as we leave you. And I'm not leaving you. I am going to send you the doc. I need to make it for my daughter anyway. You know, we could do a follow-up. I love all of this. But you're going to think about your mindset. You're going to think about your past and all of your associations with money. And then you're going to start the doc. And phase 2, get a person.
Get a person.
As a plan. Do you feel more anxious than when we started? Less, or both? Or do you think it's doable?
I feel more excited. I feel more excited for you.
Yay! I feel more excited for you.
Oh, I love this.
I think the person gives me a lot of comfort. So I hope I find the right person. That's like the main.
You will. And the beauty is you can just dump them if they're not the right person.
If they're not. That's
the beauty of email.
I can tell pretty quickly if they're the right person.
I also like good. Words of like affirmation, like you're not in debt. Like you are so miles ahead of like a lot of people, regardless of it feeling morning? Like you're not.
I'm always available for financial talks.
Let's just talk every morning so I can feel better about myself.
Like, no, but give yourself that as like a reason to continue moving and not to be like, well, I'm already in the hole, so I might as well stay in this hole. Like you're not in the hole that you've built in your mind. Don't let it be your out to not doing the thing.
Yeah.
100%.
What's really important, I helped my friend Aileen. She was our very first episode on Well Adjusting. And she is like, puts me to shame at this point. Like she is just crushing it. And one of the things that came up with her in the early part is it was very daunting, but she was not seeing her wins. So I want to encourage you to anytime, like if you never celebrated the fact that you paid off your loans, I want you to do that right now. Who cares? Not in this moment, but this week. I want you to be thinking about
a bottle
your
of
wins.
Prosecco, goddammit.
That's right.
Why not?
And cheers the fact that you live debt-free and that you paid off your student loans, which most people your age don't do those two things. I want you to be looking for moments as you go on this journey, looking for moments to celebrate your accomplishments and that you want to take this on.
Man,
I believe in you.
Guys.
Come on, Sylvie. Come on. I offer myself to you whenever you want to check in. You holler at me, and I'm happy to answer any questions or just give you an atta girl. It's not easy
so generous
to switch your thinking.
That's super generous. Just even the offer is generous. So
listen, you got this. Thank you. You got this.
All right, 2025. I'm coming for you.
You have reached the Well Adjusting Expert of the Day.
Hi, I'm Asia Evans, a licensed mental health counselor who specializes in financial therapy and author of Feel Good Finance. Not planning for the future comes up so frequently, and I think there is an aspect of this that comes up for everybody at some point in their life. We have a really hard time thinking about our future selves because we are kind of, and I say this gently, stuck in the present. Present feels all important compared to what will the future version of myself need. And what we have to do, especially when it comes to saving or planning or retirement, is to think about our future selves. What kind of life do you want to lead? I love so much that you can be in the present. This is amazing, but I want to make sure that you're going to be okay in the future. So, one, let's look at your money. Please look at your money. Everybody look at your money. Decide what you actually want, and then figure out what you need to do to get those things. And that is really thinking about centering yourself and what you want your life to look like, and then making a plan. And that could be, okay, I'm going to pay off my debt for the next 5 years. And then after that, I am hitting my retirement accounts really hard. If that's what you want, great. I might also introduce, hey, why don't you try to invest a little bit in your retirement as you're paying off your debt? You can do these two things at the same time, but let's start talking about it and let's stop avoiding it so that you can feel better. When I'm talking to people about their retirement, I don't want them to go dark. I want them to get excited. And I let them tell me about setting the scene about what you want the older version of you to look like. So I always say that the older version of Asia is in the coast of Italy somewhere, eating a lot of pasta, drinking probably a little bit too much wine for grandma to be drinking, and is super fit, living her best life in a bikini on the beach. And I think that version of me is hysterical. And that's how I think about saving for my retirement. How much do I need to save to make sure she is in the hottest of hot bikinis, living her best life with a big sun hat and some caftan? Like, how do I make that happen? And I think that excitement of dreaming can be fun for people, and that allows them to picture what their life would look like, to say, okay, how do I make sure that I'm taking care of the future me too? And it doesn't mean you're going to be saving as much money as possible right now. That's not always possible for everybody, but any little bit helps, because hopefully you have years, if not decades, for that money to turn into something else, for it to compound, for it to grow. More money is better than none, right? Like, you can't compound on 0. But you can compound on 100 or 50, and slowly that will give you some more funds than you would have if you didn't start at all. So let's start today. We can deal with the, shame and guilt and the feelings of regret or feeling like you made a financial mistake because you are starting what you define as later. It might not be later, but I'd rather have something, even if it's not a ton, but it might just be a little bit to be more helpful than 0. People feel so lonely in their feelings about money. And a lot of the work that I'm trying to do and just get out there in general, that is also centered around in my book, is that shame makes you want to isolate. And it makes you feel sad, and it makes you feel depressed, and it makes you feel like you're the only person in the world going through this. And really what I want people to realize is that you are not alone. Somebody else is going through this, and you have no idea that this is coming up for them. So what do you need to do to start having a little bit more of an open mind and open conversations around what's happening for you financially? Because that's where we start breaking up the shame. That's where we break up the isolation, finding community, feeling like, oh, you know what? I had no idea that my bestie was going through the exact same thing because we never talked about it. And now, not only is she my new accountability partner, but now we're growing our money together. And that feels really awesome to me. So please talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to somebody that you trust, because I promise you, you are not the only one going through this. Seeing a financial therapist can feel hard, and I understand, but that's also why I wrote my book, right? Like, I wrote Feel Good Finance because I want people to take the time to start interrogating themselves and get really honest about what is holding them back from their best financial life. So I would love to see as many people as possible, but I can't see everybody. And if you're too nervous or you feel like it's outside of your financial comfort zone right now, that's okay. You can pick up my book, and it's like literally sitting in therapy with me, and then we can go from there.
Okay, friends, Class dismissed on finances for today. One last bit of advice, sign up for that 401k at your job. And then help me in thanking Sylvie for being the brave one to share her story and be open to some help in this area. And thank you to Asia Evans for coming back as our expert of the day. Why don't you go ahead and follow her on Instagram? She's at Asia E Therapy. And oh, hey, while you're at it, go out and buy her book. It's called Feel Good Finance. You will not regret it. For more Robin, and you may need that, you probably don't need it, but like if you do, you can follow me at Real Rob Hops on all the platforms, all the socials, as the kids today say. Well Adjusting is an Edit Audio original series. It's exec produced by Steph Colburn and Robin Hopkins. Our producer and editor is Maria Passingham, and our production manager is Kathleen Speckert. Thank you to the entire Edit Audio team and to you for listening. Oh, hey, before you take out those AirPods, this show is just for entertainment. If you are in need of help, please, please, please reach out to a professional. Go ahead and get that help. You deserve it.